Hello everyone, it's Old Guardian here. In this video, I'm going to take a look at the best decks to play the Legend in March 2020. This video will feature the top 6 decks right now to take on the ladder and hit that Legend. And just a reminder that these 6 decks are not the only decks you can play the Legend. For example, compared to what I had presented last month in February, I've dropped a couple of decks from here. I've dropped the Resurrect Priest and the Galakrond Warlock, for example, because the rogue numbers are up. The rogue numbers are really up, and rogue punishes those decks so incredibly hard. That doesn't mean that they have suddenly become bad decks. They haven't. They still boast over 50% win rates, so they are still viable decks for climbing the Legend. But I can no longer recommend them as some of the best decks, because they are getting countered quite hard by some of the top meta decks. So what do I recommend instead? A new recommendation that wasn't here last month is Quest Druid. Quest Druid already had some presence in Legend last month, but it was not really good for climbing there because the meta was very hostile to it. And the meta still remains hostile to it. The closer you get to 5 on like rank 4, rank 3, you're still not quite comfortable with Quest Druid. But on rank 2 and rank 1 at the moment, the numbers of rogues and Galakrond Warriors are incredibly high. And Quest Druid happens to be a deck that counters both of those. So if you have climbed a little bit and you feel like you're getting stalled and you're facing tons of rogues and warriors and not so many hunters, then switching over to Quest Druid just might be the tool that gets you over the edge and into Legend. Coming in at number 5 is Dragon Hunter. Dragon Hunter is not quite as favored as it used to be because the Druid numbers are down, and Dragon Hunter does struggle a little bit against Galakrond Warrior. And the Galakrond Rogue matchup, it's fairly even too, so nothing to tell home about there either. However, Dragon Hunter remains a strong archetype, and it has been very well fine-tuned at this point. This is basically the list that you want to play. You can alternate the secret package a little if you feel like it. I like playing with double freezing drop myself, for example, but pretty much this is the Dragon Hunter, and it's still effective even though it has come down a little bit from its peak. At number 4 is Quest Hunter. Quest Hunter doesn't see nearly as much play as the other Hunter archetypes, but it's still powerful, make no mistake about that. Its key strength is that it is the best Hunter deck to challenge rogues. Just going wide, doing it again and again and again. Rogue has a hard time answering that, although Rogue can of course sometimes just burst you down in response. The other matchups of Quest Hunter are typically a little bit weaker than for the other Hunter decks, but that good Rogue matchup keeps it afloat. However, the top recommended Hunter deck at the moment comes in at number 3, and it is the Highlander Hunter. And this is the best performing Highlander Hunter list on the ladder right now, and it has not changed by a single card from what it was last month. Everything is exactly the same. And that just shows how consistent Highlander Hunter is. That's kind of ironic considering that it only runs single copies of cards, but it is the most steady and consistent Hunter deck. It's a little bit weak against the other Hunters, it's a little slower, and in Hunter mirrors the faster Hunter typically wins, so that's a downside of Highlander Hunter. But out of all Hunter decks, it has the best matchup against Galakrond Warrior, and it's not bad against Galakrond Rogue either. And overall just a very steady matchup spread makes it a deck that always has a game. It has never lost a game when it begins, it always has a chance. The most popular deck on the ladder, Galakrond Rogue, comes in number 2 in my recommendation list. The downside to playing a popular deck is of course that you're going to play a ton of mirrors. So you can have mirror like every third game, every other game on high ranks with Galakrond Rogue, and that can be a little bit tricky. But the overall power level of Galakrond Rogue cannot be denied. It's a very strong deck, and right now with so many rogues on the ladder, it might even be worth running a build like this with a Boom Pistol Bully in it. Boom Pistol Bully does not have great statistics, it's one of the weaker cards in this one, but if you're going to go in and you're going to know that you're going to face a lot of mirrors, taking for those mirrors can just give you that edge that you need. Finally, coming in at number 1 right now is Galakrond Warrior. Galakrond Warrior is just a really powerful archetype It's good against hunters, it's good against rogues, its weakness is mostly druids, priests. They have been driven a bit out of the meta. Priests just cannot survive the rogues, and druid has not been very popular lately either. So that gives Galakrond Warrior an excellent position. You still want to take a little bit against Rogue, because Rogue is your main contender, and that's why this build features an injured Tolvir, an excellent card against Rogue because it cannot be backstabbed and it cannot be seal-fated. People are still stubbornly running 2 copies of Battle Rage in this list, so we still don't have good statistics on a list that would include 1 copy or no copies of Battle Rage. So, because this is a stats-based video, then unfortunately I have to recommend a list with 2 copies of Battle Rage, and at least Injured Tolvir makes them a little bit better. Just a very strong deck that doesn't give up. With the Skippers and the Armor Smiths, it's able to generate tons of armor so it can survive against aggressive decks, and it can keep pushing against slower decks, and with Leroy Jenkins, Bloodstone Mercenary, Inner Rage, potential buffs on Leroy from Galakrond, it can have a ton of burst damage as well. Just a very flexible deck. So if you're looking to play your way to Legend in March, these were the 6 decks that I would recommend to do that with. But remember, they are not the only decks. There are more decks in Hearthstone than these, but if you want to be as efficient as possible, then going with these ones is the key. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the show, please click the like button and subscribe to my channel for more.